Good morning. Today is part 2 of episode 22 with VIPEACH. We are having a second session with VIPEACH. We are honored to have a second session. Sometimes we do have a chaotic life that does separates us from reality and where we're at. And we've had a lot of things going on within the past month. So that is why we are having VIPEACH twice on the show. But essentially, there's a lot of key points that we missed out on the first episode that I really wanted to touch base with you, as well as get to know the new release that you're going to go ahead and be releasing here soon. Can you quote that name for me one more time?
Yeah, Already a Survivor on September 27th.
September 27th. So we'll definitely dive deep into that here shortly. But the first things first, like, how are you after this hurricane? I'm not sure if it's just a nuance, but sometimes, we overreact, but it's good to overreact when there's death situations going on.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I get to say I survived a hurricane now. So, just add that to the life resume.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are good and everything is, copacetic. There's something that really points out in your whole aura, and that will be consistency. There is a lot of people that say they're in it to win it, but when you see it, and it's visualized through that person. I see that you post on a daily. Doesn't matter what time of day. It's 3, 4, 5, 10 times a day, and that's insane. Are you scheduling these posts, or is this daily stuff that's just coming to your mind?
I wish I was. It's been like a goal of mine to really get disciplined about planning out my content, so that I'm not on my phone all the time. But it's just become such a habit now that, I just post them all myself. I have just a good routine, and I honestly kind of do like more of the organic of kind of what I'm feeling that day and what I'm kind of resonating with, or what, I go through my content library, what I'm currently trying to promote, whether it's a show or a song coming out or just what I'm feeling. So, I definitely just try to keep as consistent as possible. I post on Instagram, Snapchat, 2 Facebooks, my Patreon, and I Twitter every day.
If you don't mind me asking, how's your traction in Patreon? Do you see a lot of traction there?
I just started my Patreon, honestly, and I mean, I'm happy with it. And again, I'm in a transition right now of life, of getting to Florida, and then the hurricane, and I literally, on my to-do list, my one off day, so I have to put my bed frame together. I have to do that. So,
and we really appreciate your time, just to let you know. Since it's your one day off.
That's okay. Yeah, because people, I'm still working a full-time job. I'm still grooming 40 hours a week, and while I'm doing this and funding my passion, my passion project of art in the peach world. So, yeah.
That's great. Consistency does have different variations of what you consider consistent. People might be able to say, I'm consistent with one thing with my body, or I work out on a daily, but to actually create something, it takes a lot of effort. I don't know if I just put my head around this situation, but I think that an artist has to define themselves with purity and authenticity. And if that isn't relevant in any post, then to me, it's not like I don't feel, it's not like I need acceptance or validation from somebody else, but I don't feel happy with my work. Right. And to see someone that feels happy with their work consistently, daily, that's insane. It takes a lot of drive. And I've been to the point where I was there and I was doing it on a daily 3-4 post, but I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't feel that type of okay, I'm doing it because it's something worth it or something new that I'm putting out. It's more like it was just repetition, and I'm not that type of dude.
Absolutely.
So deep diving deep into that consistency. One last question before we base off to the next topic. When did it start? What is your drive? How do you have that self-control?
Man, yeah, I feel like I've always found a way to kind of turn my shit into gold, but I think once I really started getting super motivated with pushing the brand and stuff once I got a divorce. I've always been Peach and Peaches, and had a bunch of friends and stuff, but I've been a people person, but really started really putting my passion into the pushing the brand after I got a divorce, and that's when I wanted to get on Survivor. That's when I left my ex-husband. That's when I really was able to truly be myself and start really diving into the talents and passions that I had, because when I was in the marriage, it was a controlling situation. So everything was just dedicated to what was best for his career and what was best for the marriage and him. And, it's what I put my all into. So once I was able to focus on me and what I wanted truly out of life, my first goal was, oh my God, I want to get on Survivor. And everything that I kind of have done thus far has been with the goal in mind of getting on Survivor. And that's what my new single is even about. And it started with, okay, they have good professional pictures, so let me figure out how to be a model and take good pictures. So I started kind of with that goal, and then morphed into this, into that, and then it just, it being on this journey, that then became music. So I so badly, I'm a Taurus too, so like, when you decide you're gonna do something, like, you do it and you put your all into it. And I always want to do the best that I decide to do, whether that's modeling, music, pushing a brand, marketing, throwing events. I'm going to put my all into it. I don't half-ass anything. I've stacked a lot of different skills along the way, so it kind of looks like I'm scattered everywhere, but it's just that I'm a serial entrepreneur and really passionate about things that I do, and I put my heart into it.
Absolutely. And that making me the shivers, because when we talk about like being an entrepreneur, and you're saying you're a serial entrepreneur, people don't understand that we have our heads in different areas, right? So like when we are doing one thing, we might be doing something behind the backs at the same time, whether we're in a different location or not. And that's because I'm not sure if you relate, but I have ADHD to the point where if I don't smoke, if I'm not chill in some type of sedative way, I'm impulsive and I'll get things done, not the way that I should, but because I'm so hectic and my feedback is just like, it's hard for me to have a normal conversation without me being chill and relaxed. Like, I want to go forward. It's that impulse. Do you relate
absolutely.
with ADHD?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I've never really like talked about it, but I was diagnosed or whatever with ADHD, I guess, I don't know, 2 years ago or so, as an adult. I think it's a little different with women as well. I think it's a more of a common, I guess the stereotype is more with men or younger boys that are in school that are kind of just like hyperactive. I think that's what you think when you think ADHD, and not really doing much on what the symptoms are or what a person with ADHD really looks like, and a lot of entrepreneurs have it. I've really realized in learning different coping mechanisms and understanding the impulses that come with it. So yeah, I definitely can relate.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're speaking about it. I'm so happy that you actually did it here, because it does open up a window of clarity. People think that they're lost at this point where they're like, am I really this person? Do I really have to live this life? Well, it's an advantage. It's a tool. It's something beautiful that you have to mold yourself. And like you are doing now, you find yourself being occupied all the time because it's a way of living. Not a lot of people can understand it, but if you are living it, you're living it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with abuse. You've gone through that as well. And I really wanted to touch base with you in regards to your music and your lyrics. There's a quotation by Erykah Badu that touched my heart this week. She says there's three types of artists. The first one is, the artist that has pain. Usually it takes a lot of, struggle to actually get their words out, but they tend to be the more popular ones. The second artists are the ones who are imitates, the people who imitate pain, the people who are the first artists. And those are generally the rich ones. The third kind of artists are the ones who do the do's, shake your ass, watch yourself. Quote Erykah Badu. The third kind will always fall off. So Because there's a million of them. So it's like, where do you find yourself in that area? It's not to say that everything is specific according to that quote, but it makes a lot of sense how we translate, certain situations in life, like abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a powerful quote. And I completely agree. I think that's why I've been so kind of like off-putting of TikTok. I think that's everyone always gotta get on TikTok. That's how you're gonna get your, like. But it's when I get on there, it's just so negative. And when I think of TikTok, I do think of just really people that have taken off very quickly for maybe the wrong reasons. And that's just not really been my goal. It's more of making a permanent statement, and we're creating a foundational fan base that's going to stick around with me forever, and really touch people's lives and be a timeless artist, and not so much just trying to grab people's attention really right away and get their money and da 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 da. Like, that's just not been my overall goal. So yes, the people like that will fall off quickly. They'll shake their ass. I can't tell you how many times people or mentors or people in the music industry are like, you need to get your ass done. You just need to start doing some squats and you'll be famous and you got everything it takes, but you just got to learn how to twerk. And it's just like, that's not the demographic I'm going for. Like, yes, I understand I rap and this is the hip hop world. And that's something that is very prominent in it. But I also don't have to do that to connect with certain people. So I think I am the artist that has the most pain. A lot of my art comes from my pain and my stories. And that's one of the reasons people relate to me the most is my authentic emotion and stories that I tell. And I'll probably, once I hit the right spot in time, will be around forever.
And see, that's the legacy that people that are usually the first artists. It was an interview that she was having with an older folk. This was probably a video back in like the 99 2000, and she was saying that it was more of an intimate talk between her audience and her. Like,
Yeah.
everything that she was basing off was off of her reality, what she was facing, whether if it was love struggles or whatever it was, loss of death. And it seemed to captivate her audience to the point where it was more of a relation of her pain. And people don't understand that emotion drives everything.
Yeah.
And regardless if you don't like it or not, that's what buys money. If you have bought somebody's emotion, then you're purchasing into that person's aura or that person's sense of ego. You kind of have some type of sense of control. And if you don't know how to manipulate that in a good way, you become what they call, the dark shadow. And you don't have to be evil to get everything you want, but you can gauge it and say, okay, this is a good area, for you to grow and prosper. I do have Bosa here pulling in. I'm sorry to interrupt. Bosa, thank you so much for joining, brother. You have a wonderful morning. And in regards to, like, what does it take for a artist to grow? Like Erykah Badu was saying, from the first portion to the second imitate, will the second person always be imitation, or will the second person always get to the point where they develop and grow? And that's the journey. It means that the second person hasn't gotten through the journey to actually get to the first position, because somebody has to go through pain in order to understand what it takes to get there.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you've done, right, with abuse.
Yeah, exactly. And with the imitation, it's I struggle with that. Even I haven't even made it yet or anything, but like, I do have people, because I'm considered a leader, or people are drawn to my aura, my energy, or whatever, that will try to imitate or copy the things that I'm doing, or have seen my success and will try to follow that path. And I myself, even with the greats and the goats and looking at other artists and stuff, it is never my intention to be like, I want to be just like that artist, or I want to do exactly what that artist is doing, or I'm inspired by, oh my gosh, I love that person's style, or I love that hat, or I love that song she did. And how can I incorporate a little part of that into the art and style that I'm creating for myself and make it my own? And I think that's really important, that you're able to separate those two things and not just imitating straight from, it's, you could sure, I don't know, I could see right through people that are just imitating. And it comes off very off-putting to me. So I hope people can understand that I'm never trying to do that. And that the abuse and the pain that I've gone through, and the journey that I've gone through to become my most authentic self, that is the artist journey. I had a hard time understanding that. People are like, the artist journey, or like, have you gone through this artist development process? And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, and now it totally makes sense to me now, because I've gone through it and I'm still going through it. We're always growing, we're always changing. Oh my God, I just recently went through a really big change and growth thing for me in the last couple of days. And I can feel it. You feel when that change happens. You can feel when you're becoming a different frequency and a different level, and certain people are falling off that you thought would be there forever. And it's happening and changing all the time.
But it's a beautiful process. That's when you know it's working, and let's keep going to continue.
It hurts. It sucks. Growth fucking sucks. But yeah, you got to keep going.
And even happens with family members. Let me tell you that, man. It happens with family members too, where you are born into a family, but you surely don't choose your parents or your siblings. Sometimes those people are just not for you. You just have to grow out of it.
Yeah, I don't speak to two of my siblings, so I get
it. Yeah, I don't speak to nobody in my family. I was the black sheep. Could you talk about more in relation to your drop that you're going to do here recently? What was the reason of this inspired song, or what was that pushed you to the limit?
Yeah, again, with I've been like with my drops, I try to be super strategic, and like, I plan out all my content ahead of time, and like I'm really methodical in the theme and and this one was a little more like, this felt like the right time for it, so I hadn't really planned it out as hard as the other ones. And some people may think that's wrong or whatever, but
I'm here. I just lost my camera. No worries.
Oh, okay. But the song was ultimately inspired. It came from an idea from my friend Steve, who is a stepdad of another artist that I met in Cleveland, who I've had on a couple of my shows, named Master Puff. And him and his stepdad and I have been in touch, and his stepdad is a creative person as well. He's really down to earth, and he kind of just keeps in touch with me and kind of gives me creative ideas that he has. And he really liked my song Better Days. And he talked about, how authentic it was, and that he really liked that side of me, that I should stick with that, and he knows that I've been trying to get on the show Survivor, and he just could, for whatever reason, he saw, Sydney, my daughter, kind of coming up to me as we were watching Survivor and be like, but mommy, you're already a survivor. And that kind of stuck out in his head. So he sent a voice message to me about that, and I thought it was a great idea. So we talked on the phone about it and kind of mapped out like what the video would look like. And we did all of this before I even made the song. It just started with that little idea in his head, and I was like, okay, all right, that's a great idea. I should make a song that has a Survivor theme to it, obviously, because I've been trying to get on the show Survivor. And yeah, I'm already a survivor. I've survived so much in my life, whether I get on the show or not. And that kind of just became like a really driving force within me. So I found a producer in Spain that at first I was like, I wanted to incorporate the actual theme song of Survivor in it, but the rights and, all that stuff gets really complicated. So I just made my own. I kind of told them what parts I wanted to have in it, and for it to kind of sound like it was like the Survivor theme song, but obviously different. and using different words and themes that have to do with Survivor. The shirt, this kind of looks similar to the logo of Survivor, but it's outwit, outlast, outplay, and it's VIPEACH, and I use those words within the song, and just telling everyone that I'm already a survivor whether I get on the show or not, basically. So I'm dropping it on September 27th, which is the same day that the new season of Survivor airs. And I'm also going to be attending a Survivor watch party here in Florida with some of the Survivor cast.
Nice. So when do your episodes go live, or when do you start casting, or have you already started that process?
I apply every year, basically. So I send in a video every year to apply for it. And I think people misunderstand, like they think I want to be famous, or like they're like, well, what do you just be on Naked and Afraid or go on Bad Girls Club? And it's like they're missing the whole point, like that's not the point, is to get on television. That, the point isn't to be on a reality show. The point is to get on Survivor and to have a life-changing experience and inspire people with my story and who I am and the things that I can share with a national audience. And Survivor just changes you. It's an experience that regular life can't give you. It's challenging in ways that regular life can't challenge you. And I'm looking to level up my consciousness and challenge myself in ways that I think Survivor could do for me. And that's what people just don't really understand.
It reminds me of Bhagavad or some of the practices within Hinduism practice. People don't understand that journey, but if you want to go to VIPEACH or some type of, expense journey that will take you to pretty much strip your body off, to actually get there, because you're losing everything once you get there. That
Right.
is the spirit, the journey that people don't understand. What are you losing to get to that point? And whether if that process is bliss, or if it maybe doesn't show you anything other than just pure consciousness and commonality,
Yeah.
where you're just like, oh, that's what it was. Like, yeah.
Right. And I just
Look how beautiful the journey is. Oh, go ahead.
I discovered that when I went through boot camp in the Army. That was like a really hard, challenging experience mentally and physically. But when I finished it, I felt like I could do anything. I saw all the people who fell off. I saw all the people who couldn't do it and didn't make it. And I kind of addicted to that challenge and level up of that. And again, it's just like one of the things I feel like Survivor can do for me. And then at the same time, Survivor's so different. This is the 45th season, like people don't understand how long it's been on. And that's, I think, because Survivor's fan base, that's the fan base I want to touch with my music and my brand. Like that's my target audience, are the people that watch Survivor, because they're inspired by the stories that people have gone through, and everyone's gone through some type of hardship that's been on there and challenging in life, but they've survived it. And that's what everyone has in common being on that show. So that's my overall goal.
And I wish you the best with it. So my question was, did you already get to the casting point, or have you gone through that process yet? No,
yeah,
not yet.
I've gone through the process of it, as far as like talking with producers and gone to open calls. I performed in line for a couple of them. I'll take my speaker and perform in line and do like the open casting calls, but I haven't gotten to like the end point of being chosen.
You will be chosen. I can feel it.
Yeah. And they always say, there's a guy on there now, he's been applying since he was a kid, like it's just that consistency that I have, and that, it doesn't matter how long it takes. My life just gets more interesting each year. So it's just about which year they decide I'm interesting enough.
Those are the stories that touch people the most. and you're saying that Survivor is, something that relates to that's the purpose of this podcast. Everybody has a story to relate, but everybody wants to talk about the topic in their industry. That's fine. Go ahead, talk about the topic. But I want to know you. I want to know who you are, what are you about, and how can I relate that to the person who's watching, because that's in essence who matters. I don't matter here. You matter because you are the guest and all the guests that are around here as well. It's like, if I can give myself to the world, I have a purpose of living. But if I can't, then I've died as a brat who is just egoistic and only thinking about myself. So who would you rather be, the brat or somebody who actually has value to show somebody else something better than just themselves? I think we all need to wake up.
Facts. Completely agree.
In regards to your RV and grooming, you had mentioned you wanted to get a tour bus so that you can do grooming as full-time and tour the United States. Question: is grooming a passion or is it a necessity of means?
It's a necessity at this point, and I've learned by talking and listening with people, it's what comes easy, that what comes easiest to you is something that you still need to kind of keep around and use, and that's what's been my struggle, is that because grooming comes so easily to me, I get bored with it very quickly, but it is the way I pay my bills. It is what funds all the things, and I have to find a way to bring my passion together with the things that are making me money because I have to survive and I have to keep being able to put out the things. So that was my creative way of kind of fusing those together, because I have found that grooming can be very kind of integrated with the artistry, because I meet so many artists and different people in the artist world that have dogs or cats or they like animals. It's a great networking tool at the same time for me to be like, hey, I can groom your dog now or today or tomorrow or whatever, or they haven't been able to find someone that they trust, or, just it kind of builds a bridge and a gap and a way for me to connect with people in that way as well, and providing a service and bartering the service as well. I can provide a lifetime of grooming for your dog or cat, and you can give me some photos, and kind of just trading services in that way.
See, that's the entrepreneur way. And I'm glad you mentioned this because there's a lot of bum artists here in Tucson and Arizona, meaning that, nobody really knows what they want. They know they have a dream. But like you just said, you have to have something that comes easy to you so that you can fund your passion. Don't be a bum artist. It's okay to do it for a week. 1 week is fine. But after that week, you still have to have some bills to pay. You still have, if you have a family, you have a family to rely on. So it's like, no, like don't quit your job. Don't quit anything, continue what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a very soft topic for a lot of people who are young, because they want the help, they want the guidance. But if you really want the guidance, keep going with what you're doing and then continue adding on to your resume. Like you said, the more you have, the better. But at the same time, you want to keep those skills at 100%. So make sure you're fueling everything every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when did grooming become no longer a passion? Because obviously it had to be some type of passion for you. Was it when music became involved, or when did that fall off as a passion?
I think when I worked for PetSmart for 8 years, and I lived in Columbus, and I opened up a new store for them. And it was, at one time, it was a goal for me to be a regional manager for them, teach their groomers how to groom. I did. I taught 5 different people how to groom. I won the regional award for the highest sales store in the region. And my ex-husband didn't support my career and wanted to continue to be in the Army. And that meant I had to give up my career. So he moved to North Korea, and that meant that I became a single mom and I had to quit. after I just won this award and was on the road to becoming very successful within the corporate world. So I was going to be able to transfer, but the regional manager at the time basically told me that I either had to have an open schedule, be able to work anytime, any day that they told me to, or I had to quit. And I couldn't, because I now was a single mom. My husband was moving to Korea to serve our country, and I would have to drop my daughter off at daycare and stuff. So I could only work certain hours, and that wasn't good enough for that corporate company. So after 8 years company, I quit and started working in a vet by myself. I think that's kind of where my burn happened, where I was like, okay, fuck you guys. I was like, I just gave my heart and soul to this company and to grooming. And it really hurt my feelings. So that's kind of where my love for grooming kind of started changing. I started working by myself in a vet, and there wasn't, I like competition. I need a challenge. There was nothing to challenge me anymore. There was no one to talk about anything. I was in a room by myself for 8 hours, and all I could think about was how to write songs and different creative things as I'm grooming. So my focus started to shift.
So it took, figuring out that you weren't being valued at your job to lose the passion that you loved. Now, I'm not saying that you don't love grooming anymore. Maybe you enjoy this and this is therapeutical to you. But what I'm saying is that you said that it no longer was a passion. It's a means of ends meet. So was it the trauma that PetSmart caused you, or was it the fact that you just wanted to be on your own?
It was a little bit of both. It was the bad taste that they left in my mouth, and then being in my own environment because it always was a goal of mine to, like, it wasn't always a goal, but it now changed my perspective of how to do it on my own. COVID really kind of put me out of my comfort zone in that way as well. I had quit PetSmart. I was now at the vet, and then COVID happened, and it kind of pushed me to then do it on my own as well. I continued to groom out of my basement when I wasn't able to work during COVID. And that showed me that I could very well do it all on my own. So again, it just started to kind of shift my focus into making my own business out of it. But it's like you said, it's more therapeutic for me. While I'm grooming, I tend to get a lot of ideas for how to throw events or songs, and I'm like writing stuff down as I'm grooming.
How does this happen? Like, you have shampoo in your hand and you're like writing it down?
No shit. I'm like freaking blow drying the dog and my phone in my other hand. Like, this is what's happening. If you don't understand how many ideas, or I'm calling or texting, I'm like, oh my god, I just had this great idea, and I'm like blow drying the dog.
What dogs do you usually deal with? Are you talking about larger, medium dogs, or any type of dog?
All kinds of dogs. I've groomed every kind of dog there is. Typically it's just smaller dogs, poodles and Yorkies and Shih Tzus and stuff. But I've groomed Pyrenees and Newfoundlands and Mastiffs, and I have a guy here I found. I groom his 4 Great Danes. He owns a Mexican restaurant here, and I've been collaborating with him on some stuff. So
4 Great Danes. How's that? Do you
like
fit one at a time,
horses.
or 4 horses?
That's what I feel like. I'm getting them out of their pasture and like taking them out of the gate and like hooking them up with the things. But yeah, it's like grooming 4 ponies.
Wow. Yeah, they're an interesting breed. I've heard they don't really last long depending on their heart issues.
Yeah, the bigger dogs, they don't, because it's just a lot of blood to pump.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful breed for sure. We deal with blue healers and Catahoula, so we had Catahoulas in the past, but the blue healers are interesting for me. Yeah,
the blue healers are the herding dogs. They're really smart, and they need a challenge for stuff. I used to breed yellow labs as a child with my dad, and I actually am thinking about getting a dog here. I've been looking at shelters, and tell you what, they don't really have a lot of dogs at the shelters. And it was kind of my goal to be able to get one from a shelter, but I don't know if I'll be able to or not. But I want a little white dog that will kind of become a part of Peach World. And kind of very similar to kind of like how Paris Hilton did. And Kodak Black had a Pomeranian in his Peaches video, if you didn't notice. But I now have more help. Cindy's older. My mom's here now that I have her live with me, so I have more. At first, I was kind of scared to have a dog because I'm so busy, but I think now I have more help to do it. And I want to be able to diet and groom it and kind of be my walking billboard for my grooming services as well. And yeah.
That's going to be sick. So you're looking for a Pomeranian breed or any specific white dog?
Just a white dog, maybe even lighter. It doesn't necessarily have to be white, but just a lighter color that I'm able to manipulate the colors on. And fluffy has to be, me be able to manipulate the hair. So that's either like poodle mixes or Pomeranian mix of any type of sort. That's about this big.
Yeah, small dogs is the way to go. We went big all the way.
I had big dogs my whole life. I had a Doberman. I bred the yellow labs, and then I pet sitted for a couple people and had their little dogs at my house, and I was like, this is freaking cake. I was like, they're literally like having a little cat. I can do that.
Yeah, they're easy. We have she's a mix. She's supposed to be half Mastiff and half Catahoula, but she's quite special. She might be a little bit either mentally ill or something's going on in her head, but she thinks she's a puppy. She'll crawl up on your lap, acting like a little puppy, and she thinks she's a puppy. You'll be, in the restroom doing your business, and she'll try to, jump on your lap while you're on the restroom. And this is a, 80-pound dog just trying to get on top of you.
How my Doberman was, I never knew how needy Dobermans were. It was like he was whining unless he was touching me. And they're very one-person dogs. I know, after having a lab that was a family dog my whole life, having a Doberman and seeing how much he was just wanted to be by me and do things that I said, and he just really wasn't responsive to my husband. Really showed me how big babies they are.
Yeah. The bigger the dog, I think, the more baby they are. They're just big teddy bears.
Right.
We talked about your spirit animal last time, and this is the last question. But
yeah,
you said that it was horses, and since we're talking about those Great Danes and they look like horses, would you want to get back into horses in the future, or is that something that you talked about in the future, or is it something that you just aspire and love and to see in nature?
Yeah, again, I'm still very much drawn to horses and I guess orcas / dolphins. Especially now being in Florida, being at the beach and stuff, I've really been inspired in thinking about a song I can make for the dolphins and to how to draw them in at the beach, or go out on a boat or whatever and play my music for them or something, or sing, or I don't know. That's been one of my ideas being here in Florida. And horses, it's funny, I have this on my altar. It's a piggy bank that was my grandma's old thing. It's the piggy bank. It's a horse, and I think it comes from, again, being here in Florida. I've been trying to look into my ancestry and doing one of the ancestry DNA things about my connection to Native Americans. And obviously they used horses and for hunting and different things. I think that's kind of maybe where I'm drawn to them in that kind of aspect. All of my tribally kind of tattoos that I've been doing and stuff, and learning more about Native American history. The place that I'm at now is protected by an ancient spell from the Toa I'm going to say it wrong. I don't even want to mess it up. But there's a tribe here in Florida that has protected this area. And that's why it hasn't been hit by a hurricane in over 100 years. Basically, is like kind of like how the story goes. And the day after the hurricane happened, I wanted to figure out where this area was. They said there's like burial grounds that protect the area. So I looked up like where the burial ground was and went there, and it was closed. The park was closed, but I don't know. I just can't really explain where I really wanted to go find it. So I went into the park, and just there was no really maps or areas of telling exactly where the burial mounds were. So I just kind of hiked around looking for them. And I found it, and I just sat on top of it and kind of just like touched the ground and just like thanked the ancestors or whatever from like protecting us from the hurricane. Because I never felt threatened by the hurricane. I didn't think the hurricane was going to hit us at all. Like my intuition just, I was like, we're fine. I was like, our ancestors got us, bro. Like they're protecting us with this spell. Like we're fine. So I don't know. I think that's where my spirit animal, maybe I was a warrior in some other lifetime or something, that had a great horse and a bow. I've been wanting to buy a bow, and I don't know. That's kind of where
It
I'm at.
sounds like a good photo shoot. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of our past comes to life in our photo shoots that we do. I'm actually working on a photo shoot with a good photographer here in town named by Yusuf, but it's like part of my journey to lose more and gain more weight, because it's always been a hustle or a struggle for me to gain weight. I've always tried to like eat and eat and eat, and I just can't gain it. So I've set my mind to where I'm going to do a photo shoot for 3 months, and we do one the first month, and I'm in front of a church. My theme would be no church, no man, no church. So I believe in, the church being inside of you. I don't believe in no religion. So my perspective was, being in front of the church, whether it's Mormon, Catholic, Christian, Buddhist, all of those temples throughout the 3 months, and having my snakes around me, kind of portraying where I came from, and kind of like putting down the churches and saying it's over, like this is the spirit. But that's something that I can relate with it.
Yeah, that's exactly that's the photo shoots and the art and stuff will create, like you said, that those small details that a lot of people may not understand, but we know, and it's how we're creating our realities and expressing those parts. That's the Survivor song and video and the photo shoot that I'm doing and stuff like that. Like I incorporating like the tribal like paintings and like the body paint and stuff of that. And I plan on recording a part of the video at that burial ground that I just talked to you about, and using that area for my Survivor video.
That's gonna be dope, and the Survivor video. What's the name of that song? Is that gonna be Survivor or?
It's already Survivor. It's for the
Survivor.
Song that I'm dropping.
Okay.
And it's basically supposed to kind of portray me already on Survivor, and I think that also is going to manifest it, as my vision becomes clearer and clearer, like me being in Florida, even talking about this song became a thing before me and Steve even knew that I was going to be moving to Florida. We talked about shooting the video on a beach and how what it all looked like and stuff, but we didn't know that I was going to be moving to Florida. I was still in Tennessee when we were talking about this, So when I got to Florida, I was like, Steve, I get to shoot our Survivor video on the beach now. Like it's going to become a reality, And as it becomes more and more clear I'm on the beach, I feel like, I just keep seeing myself on Survivor and what that looks like. And I think this song and the video will continuously just to manifest that I will be on Survivor someday.
Well, you will be. I can see it coming. This conversation is insane. We touched a lot of topics. We touched your abuse. We touched your consistency. We touched, your spirit animal. What a true artist is. Is there one thing that you can give to the artist out there today that has gone with you throughout your entire life?
Oh, like speaking to the other artists that might be listening?
Yes.
Yeah, I think staying as true to yourself as possible, believing in yourself as much as possible, promoting yourself as much as possible, investing in yourself. No one is coming to save you. There's no magical investor that's going to come pick you up out of your world and drop you into where you want to be at. It's your hard work and consistency that's going to get you there. And I know that because I stopped looking for that magical person years ago. Telling yourself that someday somebody's just gonna hear my music and want to invest in me, and that's a fantasy you got to kind of let go of, and that you're gonna get yourself there. You have to create your own opportunities, and if you can't do that, then no one else will. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else.
You heard it from VIPEACH, authenticity. That's what it takes to get, wherever. It doesn't matter what you call success. Authenticity.
Yeah. Thanks.
It was a pleasure speaking to you this morning. I know you are on a time constriction.
Thank you for your patience. Thanks for staying on me. Life's been life.
No worries. I'm consistent too, and I'll bug you. Until you tell me to leave, I'll keep bugging you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. It was a blessing, having you on the show. I'm very inspired by your story. Rest assured, I'll be sending you some real previews here shortly, and we'll get some more content out. Is there any questions or concerns you have for me here today?
No, I appreciate you having me on and your thorough questions and support.
I appreciate you. You have a good morning. I'll be clocking off now, okay?
All right.
Bye-bye.